Hey everybody, it's Ryan. Welcome back to How Farms Work. We are standing down by the steer lot at my place. We just got a bunch of rain 2 days ago, well over an inch, so everything's nice and muddy, but that means that I've got a little bit of free time to start putting some plans into motion. So today's video is going to be all about making improvements around the farm. I've been thinking about doing this for a while. I've just been thinking about how I would like to do it, which that process took well over a year. And nothing's ever really permanent until concrete's put in place, which I have no plans for concrete yet. But what we've got going on at my place is that this is what we traditionally call the steer lot. I've been using it for my cows for the last 2 years. It's worked fairly well. It gets extremely muddy out here, which is one of the reasons I like concrete in long term, but for right now, it's where I'm feeding my cows over the winter months. And I go out into the middle, dump my fodder way out in the middle, and I've been having to move the hay rings around the lot as it gets muddy and filled up with cow poop. So what I'm looking to do is to reduce the amount that I have to drive out into the lot to put out hay, which right now is every single day I'm putting hay out. And one of the things that I want to do is set up a semi-permanent feeder, even if it's just temporary, or if I add another one or whatever else. I've got other plans for it that I could convert it to like an alleyway for working cows. For right now, I want to use it for just feeding. And we've got this old chicken house here, which has been falling in for, well over the last couple decades. It's finally getting to the point where the roof is actually falling in, and I would like to, save a building like this. I really wanted to fix it up and keep it, but it doesn't serve any purpose. Really, it's too small to fit anything. At least the doors are. We actually used to be able to fit the Bobcat into here, but there's no way the JCB could get in there. So what I'm looking to do is to complete the destruction of this chicken coop, whether it be in this video or a future one. Right now, what I'm looking to do is set up a guardrail hay feeder right where this fence line is. So you might be able to see that the cows have actually been destroying the wire panels that I put up temporarily. There used to be a semi-decent barbed wire fence across here. The wire panel was meant to be a temporary thing. They destroyed it literally the next day. So I'm looking to tear this all out. I want to make sure that the feeder is at least as wide as the JCB so that I can drive out into it to push hay up, clean it out, pretty much make it similar to how Travis's feeding system is set up over at the farm, where the guardrail, there's 2 lines of guardrail that actually jut out into the barnyard. This is going to be a lot more simple, where it's just like a fence line feeder basically, and that way I can come in from the other side once the building's out of here and just drop the hay right in. So then that way I don't have to drive out into the lot every day. Reasons being is because it is hard on the tracks in the JCB. I really could not imagine feeding hay. I wouldn't be able to have as many cows as I have right now unless I had the JCB. And one of the ways to kind of help with that, even looking at getting a different skid loader just with wheels so that I don't have to use the JCB just for feeding cows, because it's pretty expensive to run just to feed hay with and just to really stack hay with, to use as an everyday machine. Tracks are great. They're great for mud. They're great for doing heavy work, like out in the pasture, whether it be, cleaning up trees with the mulcher, cleaning up fence lines, stuff like that. That thing is awesome for. But on an hourly cost basis, it's extremely expensive to run doing things like this. So that's why I'm looking at putting in a fence line feeder up to both curb how many round bale feeders I'm going through, which those only seem to last about 2 years. And that way it saves me a bit of money there. It's a way for me to test to see how I like this, because in the future, not in the short term, but in the long term, I would like to set up a fence line feeder and then switch over to a TMR in the long run. For right now, I'm not looking at making any of those big changes. I have a lot more investments to make before I can step up to a TMR like a tractor. But for right now, this is really going to help curb how many hours I'm putting on the JCB every day. This will keep me from having to go into the lot. It'll reduce the amount of mud that I get. I really think it'll help confine the amount of traffic that the cows are putting in this lot to this area. And by doing so, I'm hoping that eventually I can pour a cement pad out here that they can step onto as they eat. And that way I can kind of try to make it at least big enough to where it confines a lot of manure, and then it makes it easier to clean up. Because right now, it takes a lot of time to come out here. Usually we clean it up, twice a year at least. At least I've been cleaning it up in the spring and in the fall. This year I was ahead of the game and I did it in the spring. So I'm all caught up now. But with all the rain we're getting, it's still a sloppy mess. So I'm hoping that by setting this feeder up, I can kind of get an idea of what works, what doesn't. Just one of the ways for me to experiment. I could go out into the yard, but then with this here, it kind of complicates that a little bit. I was thinking about taking it over on the other side, but in the long term, I am thinking about putting, whether it be like a monoslope, a smaller monoslope, or just like a regular pole shed out here, jutted out into the steer lot to give me an area to work with the cows to get them on cement, and that way reducing the amount of erosion that is happening out here. Which we're on top of a hill, so the drainage is fairly well, but with all the cow tracks, the water just sits in pools and then it just turns to a slop, and then over time it just erodes away. So looking for ways to improve. Since I've got a lot more cattle, to my knowledge, this is the most cattle this farm has ever had on it, and that requires different farming practices. So another thing I was thinking about in long term was setting up possibly like a retention pond down in that ditch to help catch some of the flow that's going down that hillside. I've been putting a lot of rock. That's been pretty much my catch-all for all my rock and stuff that I've been getting from the barn. And I think that has helped significantly with the amount of erosion that's going down there. The water hits the rocks and it slows it down. But I would like something that's a little bit more permanent, that's doing a little bit better job at keeping that water from just kind of completely running down into the bottom and eroding things away. So we've already got a Fenceline-ish type feeder up in the pole shed that we put up about a decade ago, and I really like that. I just wish that I could get in there to push the hay up without having to go through two sets of gates. With the JCB, I only have to go through one set of gates because I can reach over, but I don't really want to cut a hole in the backside of the pole shed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 guardrail. I'm going to put 2 on ground level to get it up to head height on the cattle. And then I'm going to put the 3rd guardrail over the top with just enough space in between for them to stick their heads through. Like I said, it's been working pretty good up in the pole shed. It's what Travis has over at Rockville. And we'll see how it works without cement. That's kind of what I'm looking to see, how this will work without the cement in there. But at least then, if all the cows are coming up here, that'll just be one area that I have to fill with 3/4 inch road gravel or something to compact down in the summer months. It just really confines all that traffic so that it's more manageable for me. Because right now, I mean, what am I really going to do? The terrain in the steer lot has been getting extremely uneven, just from putting hay out and the cows stepping in the higher traffic areas. And I'd really like to have all the traffic in one spot, and then they can go back down into the steer lot to just rest. Working good so far. I need to spread the bales out a little bit once I take the building down, but that's not for today. We got our Fenceline feeder all built, and here's what Santa brought me. So we put an order in for a Arrowquip alleyway equipped with a Tru-Test Scale head, load bars, as well as a platform at Murray's Dairy Farm and Refrigeration in Lancaster. Jim Murray was nice enough to send me his scale down to use because I wanted to use it in about a week from when I had ordered mine. They don't have ours put together quite yet, but I expect that we should be getting it very soon. So the one that we're getting should be identical to this one. And we've already used this to weigh all of our calves. And I actually ran all of my cows through the chute again in less than a day and a half by myself, which is the fastest I've been able to run them through yet. So I took the money that we had gotten from selling my 10 craziest cows and spent that money in safety equipment to make it safer, to handle the cows, to work with them. And as part of that, the biggest cost of it went into the scale, I figured that this would be extremely useful for many different reasons. Firstly, monitoring calf growth, as well as keeping an eye on the weights of the cows. By weighing the cows, you can get a closer look at how they're performing health-wise. If they're starting to lose weight, gives you the ability to know which ones are losing weight and try to identify which one's health's going downhill and try to identify the reasons for that. So we've got this Arrowquip chute here that I use. Worked great. It has the Tru-Test S3 scale head. I'm not totally crazy about this scale head just because you have to have your phone hooked up to it in order to save the weights. Hannah didn't really seem to mind it because it's a cheaper alternative. I think we're probably just going to stick with this one for the time being. When we upgrade, though, I would like to upgrade to a scale head that saves the numbers, as well as has the third option to attach a EID reader panel on the chute itself as well. Since all the cows are RFID tagged, when I run them through the chute, especially by myself, it would make it extremely convenient, more convenient to get all their weights saved. And just for right now, I think the scale head's just fine. But otherwise, I mean, running them through went very well. It'll give me an insight to how the calves are growing. Average calf weight was just over 500. I didn't weigh them at weaning. It was a couple weeks after. So I'm going to be looking into the future to try to see what I can do to improve those weights when I bring them in the fall. Hey, Luna, want to be a test subject? Come here, Luna. Luna butt, come here. Luna, come here, babies. Come on, Luna. Good girl. Just a second, honey. There we go. Hey, Luna. Hey, sweetie. Well, there you have it, a quick tech demo of how that works. At the back there, we've got a bow gate, so I can actually set it like this to hold it open. I have had a chain wrapped around the fence on this side. I would run the cows up. I would get them into here. Everything would be open in the front, and I'd run up behind them, grab the gate, slam it shut, and then they're locked in. So this is what I had been envisioning originally, and I had planned for something like this directly behind the chute. With the addition of the scale, that gives us another section to work with, kind of like what this is. So this is actually Jim Murray's idea, and it works really good. So we have a rolling door there that allows us to kind of lock another cow in. It gives the cows more space to see, so they're more willing to run in through the bow gate in the back. So once I get the animals in, locked in, all I got to do is just walk around this side, and the cows would get stirred up enough that one of them would run up into here. I could close the rolling gate, and then on the front of this was the scale. So it would be open to the scale, and then as I was walking forward, there'd be another rolling door here. I could close that one, weigh the cow, open it up, push that cow up into the chute, and then I could open everything back up and kind of keep the cows coming through. So I didn't get any film of when I had been doing this originally because I hadn't been planning to run all of the cows back through the chute. However, I did want to get their weights ASAP, and that's what I did. I decided to run all the cows through. Went very, very quick and easy. However, I am facing sort of a time crunch up until this spring. So we're going to be redoing one of the rooms in the house, and the house is going to be torn apart until we get that all done, because before we had put the roof on, there was actually a roof leak, and it was dripping down on top of one of the rooms upstairs. So the plaster in that room is coming down into the room, so it needs to be redone. And it has to be done by spring, and that's why I'm facing sort of a time crunch. So I'm going to be trying to post as regularly as I can, but don't be surprised if throughout this winter you don't see me quite as much, because I'm going to be doing stuff with that. That is usually a big undertaking for 1 or 2 people. So with that, that's pretty much it for this video. The fence line feeder is working really good. It's just that it's been very wet these last couple weeks, and the cows have it all tore up. Eventually, I would like to get something set up in front of that feeder so that it doesn't get quite so muddy. But that was kind of my original intention, and I've proven that it works good for feeding the cows at. It's just that I need to get the ground stabilized in front of it, which right now isn't really something that is entirely possible. So anyway, that's where we stand. I want to give you guys a little update, talk a little bit about some of the updates that we've got going on, and I'll follow up with using the scale in the spring when I run the calves back through, and then I can talk a little bit more about how their weight has trended over the winter, and we can compare winter growth to summer growth. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out all of our other videos. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. All How Farms Work. And with that, we'll see you next time.